morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, I'm going to start with a question, and the question is simply this. How many of you made the right career decision when you got into the architectural, engineering, and construction industry? Show of hands. All right, most hands are up. That's good, but I have to ask, what were you thinking?
Not much.
I mean, really, let's just look at what our industry's done in the past few years, shall we? This is from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and these are jobs. Jobs in architecture, engineering, and construction professions dropped 31% if you're an architect. 10%, not so bad for engineering, and almost 30% for construction. Now, what's interesting is the decline in construction started in 2006, and in the AE industry it started in 2008. But we're in recovery now, right? The economy's rebounded, things are going so well. So here's the current outlook for jobs as of last month. Architects, jobs are still down 30%. So when you hear about architectural unemployment of being 13%, that means the other 17% have actually left the industry. You can see it's not so bad for engineering, about 6%, and down 25% in construction. So 1 in 4 jobs that were around 7 years ago in construction are no longer there today. Is everybody familiar with the Architectural Billings Index? This goes back over the past 18 years, and there's really just 2 things that you need to know about it. The first is that anything below the green line is a contraction in billings, and anything above the green line is an expansion in billings. So when you see a drop in billings and it goes up the next month, that's not actually an increase in billings, that just means it's less of a drop. It's a diffusion index, so this shows lots of drops in billings, but at least it's on the upswing. But here's the second thing you need to know about that graphic. Architectural billings peaked in the 3rd quarter of 1998, not 2008, 98. So speaking of the architecture profession, Georgetown University did a study last year about the most worthless college degrees, and they decided it was architecture. They said if you actually want a job, don't go become an architect, go into visual arts because you'll have a much better chance of getting a job. And some of you might be familiar with this. This is construction put in place. It's something the Census Bureau does. What you need to know is the green line is publicly funded projects, and the pink line here is private non-residential. So that's your commercial, corporate, industrial, and private institutional. Public has been in a slight decline over the past few years, and you can see that private non-residential has rebounded. But last year, construction put in place was still $140 billion with a B dollars when compared to 2008. So it's been tough to be in this business, hasn't it? How did we get where we are? Well, if we take a little tour and we go back in time, there used to be the concept of the master builder. Imhotep in ancient Egypt was an architect, a structural engineer, a general contractor, and on the side he was the physician to the pharaohs. So does anybody know what happened to Imhotep after he died? He was elevated to the status of a god. So your former clients, have they ever elevated you to a status of a god? No? No? All right, so let's fast forward through time. American Revolution has been fought, it's been won, and there's a new profession, and that is the professional architect. Charles Bulfinch designed the Boston State House here. He was one of the first professional architects in the United States. Engineering has a slower path to becoming a true profession with the invention of the electric motor in 1827, and then the Gory ice machine. A physician invented a compressor to make ice so he could have ice in patient rooms at a hospital to keep his patients cool. The first high-rise in Chicago, 1884, you needed the structural engineer. And then the first air-conditioned building was the New York Stock Exchange in 1902. But it wasn't until 1907 that the first state required engineers to get licensed. But sometime in the mid-20th century, things changed. The individual kind of took a back seat to the firm. The architect of record, the engineer of record became corporations and partnerships, not individuals. And so what happened is the people became anonymous and interchangeable. Everybody knew the company, nobody knew the individuals behind the designs. So marketing was born. And in the 1970s, some states changed the laws and allowed professional service firms to advertise. Professional societies laxed their ethics laws, and they allowed companies to market. Initially, what that meant, if you were an AIA member, was that you could place an ad in the yellow pages as long as it did not have boldface type. because that was a violation of their ethics. So what did the marketers do? In construction firms, they said, hey, I know how we can steal services from architects and engineers. We'll call it construction management. And a new profession was born. Now, the role of a marketing department in today's age is to make the company look like a rock star. That's why they hire us marketers. I'm a marketer, I admit it. And they want me and my department, as they want every marketer in this room in their department, to turn the company into a rock star. So what do? We look at what the leading firms are doing and we pattern ourselves after them. And so we create a lot of confusion with the owners. They see us as 50 Shades of Gray. And that's on a good day. All you need to do is go to the ENR 400, look at the top 10 design firms, the top 10 construction firms, and you go to their websites. And you're going to find that all the websites have these words. Pictures may change, the logos may change, the colors may change, but really the websites are interchangeable. We do this with our brochures, we do this with all our marketing materials. We create a sea of sameness. So how do we really look to the owners? We're wheat, we're a commodity. So how do they differentiate us? Price. They have no other way to differentiate us because we're calling their bluff, we're forcing their hand. Now, is this fun? Is this the business model that we want? Is this sustainable in our industry? So I ask again, who here made the right career choice after all that exciting news I just shared with you? Now there's a lot less hands this time. What if there was a better way? In marketing we call it differentiation. And you've all heard of differentiation. You tell your marketing departments to differentiate your firm from the other firms. But again, how do we differentiate? We look at what other firms are doing and we follow their lead. There's a handful of firms out there that have a real dynamic, well-known, branded individual at the helm, and they're called Starchitects. Now, there are not a lot of them, but there are still a few. Frank Gehry is one of the best known. Philip Johnson, who died a couple years ago, was a well-known Starchitect. Doesn't matter how big the firm is behind them, the firm is sort of anonymous. It's the Starchitect, that one key individual that's the top of the company. But do we have terms like that for the rest of the industry? Do you know any exceptional leaders? How about remarkabuilders? You know, I had to spend a lot of time with Roger's Thesaurus to come up with these. Well, maybe these terms should be in our vocabulary. Maybe we do need remarkabuilders and exceptional engineers. There is a better way, and the better way is by branding. Branding the individual. Embracing what truly differentiates your firm, and that is the people. You can differentiate any way you want, but there's only one true differentiation, and that is the people that you have at your firm right now. How many Terry Kilborns are there out there at other firms? Not many. There's one. There's one Terry Kilborn, and Tech Incorporated has him. So some people call this personal branding, some people call it reputation management. And we seem to be stuck here. But I call it reputation design build.
We all think your son's cute.
You want to see my, yes, that is my son right there. Being a photographer, he has to pose for me from time to time. And when I needed a graphic for differentiation, that was the key. He posed him a different way. So reputation design build, as Adam still works here, is the art of developing your reputation and building a personal brand for yourself. Just tell me which button.
You have to just tap on.
Okay. So, don't take my word for it. Let's look at what some others have to say or what they report in their studies. Hinge Marketing did a report recently on how buyers buy AEC services. And now they were looking at firms, not individuals, but they found from their respondents, far and away, reputation was the best marketing approach. Far more than referrals and personal relationships. Hinge Marketing's report is published online, and you can download it for free or send me an email and I'll send it to you. Rainmaking Conversations, the authors of this book, operate a website called Rain Today. They did their own study that looked at overall professional services. So it also included attorneys and accountants as well as AEC firms. And what they found is the most effective methods, according to owners, were referrals, but close behind is personal recognition. And how do you get personal recognition? It's by reputation. And the keys to reputation are actually defined in this study here. seminars, presentations, articles about the provider, trade magazine articles, articles written by the provider. Now, here's what some owners have to say, and these came from a SMPS Philadelphia session. There we go. I have to hit harder. So, in our industry, we still fall back on tried and true methods like cold calling. And here's what some owners had to say. If you cold call me and I accidentally answer, I'll be polite, but you will never get work from me. Nope. I check my voicemails maybe once a month. That's encouraging. You spend all that time to do a really good voicemail and they don't even listen to it. Or this one, I always respond to email. Usually it was with not interested. So these are what owners are saying. So there's some cold, hard realities that are facing us right now. And the real reality is that our traditional marketing approaches are no longer nearly as effective as they used to be. What are these traditional approaches? Well, we call that outbound marketing, and outbound marketing is on the outs. It's cold calling, it's direct mail, it's advertising, it's email blasts. They still need to be part of an integrated marketing campaign, but their effectiveness is a lot lower than it used to be. So what's replaced it? Well, that's inbound marketing. That's presentations, researching white papers, getting involved with associations, leading seminars, writing articles and blogs. Are the companies doing this, or are there people behind it? Well, the people are doing this, the employees of companies, and they're making a name for themselves doing it. That's what inbound marketing is, helping the client to find you. They're coming to you. Here's what Inc. has to say. This was an article that was published back in October. Now even service is becoming commoditized. So the next iteration of this is companies are going to compete on their thought leadership. They want their leaders to be seen as rock stars in their fields. There's that rock star term again. What are owners saying? Well, I've sought out designers whose work I've seen published in order to meet them. The owner is finding the designer. Or this one, we would rather pick the selected individuals, and this is for a team, from any firm who have the talent and reputation to best serve our project. So owners are not only selecting firms, they are seeking out particular individuals within those firms. So to paraphrase James Carville, it's about your reputation, stupid. It all comes down to your reputation. Now this is a very, very effective way to market your firm if you embrace reputation management. But the ball's in your court. There's a lot of work required to build a reputation and even more work required to maintain it. Your marketing department can help you. Your business developers can help you. But the ball is squarely in your court to take the next steps. So let's think about this. You can go at things the tried and true way and respond to every RFP you see advertised. And what happens when you do that? You have 30 competitors, 40 competitors. I've personally seen a pursuit with 120 teams, and there's a story out of New York City of 400 firms submitting to an RFP. What are your odds of success with that? Or you can actually develop a robust network by getting involved in your community, getting involved in your professional societies, getting involved in client organizations. But don't just attend meetings, get on committees. And don't just serve on committees, chair them. Don't just chair committees, but get involved on the board of directors level and be a leader of the organization. If you are an owner selecting an AEC consultant, who would you choose? Now, a lot of you in the room today have professional licenses and certifications, and you need CEUs, right? And so it's always a mad dash a month or two before your renewal is due to get in those CEUs. So you can be this guy in the back of the room getting his CEUs, or you can be the guy in the front of the room giving the presentation, doing the training, speaking on the rubber chicken circuit, which is the Rotary clubs and Sertomas in your local community, getting in front of your clients at industry trade shows and conventions, just speaking and building thought leadership, building your reputation, becoming a subject matter expert. If you are an owner and you need an AEC consultant, which one are you going to choose? There's tons of information out there to be read. It faces us every day. There are articles and blogs and newsletters and business journals and newspapers and everything else. You can be the one that reads it and tries to stay awake reading it, or you can be building your reputation by writing the content. Write on your company blog, write articles for the local business journal. interview with a trade publication, whatever it takes to get your name out there in print or online. If you are the owner and you need an AEC consultant, which one are you going to choose? Now think about social media. A lot of people have just barely stepped and got their toes wet in social media. They have 4 or 5 LinkedIn connections, maybe a dozen. If somebody reaches out to them, they go ahead and say yes. But there are other people out there that have developed a robust network through social media. They have hundreds and hundreds of LinkedIn connections that are meaningful, that they're communicating with regularly. Might not be the ultimate decision maker, but they are making connections with people that can connect them to decision makers. Some of them are even out there tweeting. Here's the CEO of Ware Malcolm. He's an active Twitter. He's got more than 1,500 followers. If he can do it, you can do it. So the reality of the situation is you cannot control who hires your firm. Your marketing department, your business developers can get you close. Hopefully they can get you a seat at the shortlist table. But you can't control who's going to select you. What you can control is making it easy for them
to push the button.
Adam, I might need you again. There we go. Make it easy for them to find you. Yeah, ironic, isn't it? Make it easy for them to find your firm. Make it easy for owners and prospective clients to contact you. Make it easy for them to hire you. Make it easy for them to do this by doing the hard work of building a reputation. What I'm talking about ultimately is leadership. Be a leader in your industry and clients will seek you. Be a leader in your profession and employees will seek you. Be a leader in your firm and coworkers will seek you. So you can take the path that's well traveled and be a follower like everybody else, or you can take the road less traveled and do the hard work to strategize your reputation, to design a plan of action, and to build it through a series of steps. I love this quote to end on here. 2 roads diverged in the yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Take the road less traveled, be a leader in your industry, and build your reputation. Thank you for your time.